Hello there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM3 Honors Chapter 1 Quiz 3 Post-Practice Number 1 Solutions on mixed factoring. There's a worksheet that goes with this. Let's take a look at that. So for this puzzle, we're trying to solve the riddle of how can fishermen save gas. The idea is they've given us a bunch of polynomials, 18 of them to be precise, that we have to factor, and the factors, each half of the factorization is in one of these columns to the right. So the idea here is that whichever of these factors are the answer and go together, we're going to put the letter in this right column above the blank that has the number in this left column. So, for example, let's say I factor number 1, and this is not the answer, but let's say that I ended up with n plus 5 and 3n minus 5. That means I would put an S in problem number 4 spot, which would be down here. So that's the mechanics of how we actually have to do these things. So let's give it a shot and see what we can do to save some gas for these fishermen. So here we go with problem number 1. Now on these problems, pretty much any factoring technique is fair game. So we have shortcuts, we have the AC method, we have just figuring out what multiplies to the constant and adds up to the middle coefficient. So we'll use whatever we need to as we go here. This one, I happen to notice two perfect squares with a minus between them. So that's my a squared minus b squared shortcut. That ends up being a plus b, a minus b. So I just need to square root each of these things and put them in these parentheses. The square root of 4n squared is going to be 2n. Square root of 49 is 7, so I'll have 2n plus 7 and 2n minus 7. Matching that up here with these answer choices, here's the 2n plus 7, here's the 2n minus 7, so we're putting a G in spot number 9, which is right here. For this next one, we're just going to be looking for factors of 12 that add up to this 8 in the middle. So 1 and 12 doesn't work. 2 and 6 does. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 plus 6 is 8. So I can rewrite this as n plus 2 and n plus 6. Here's the n plus 2, so problem number or spot number 11. And the n plus 6 is right here. That's a. So we're putting a in spot 11 over here. This next one has a lead coefficient of 1, so we'll just use our kind of easy factoring here. Factors of 20 we're looking for that add up to negative 9. 1 and 20 doesn't work, 2 and 10 doesn't work, 4 and 5 does if they're both negative. So we have n minus 4, n minus 5. n minus 4, I see that right here, that's 14. And then n minus 5 is p, so p goes in spot 14 right here. For this next one, I have a lead coefficient of 1, so I probably could just ask for factors of 64 that add up to 16. But I also noticed that I've got a perfect square sandwich, so I'm going to try using my a squared plus 2ab plus b squared shortcut, where I essentially square root the perfect squares and put the sign of the middle term between them. So the square root of n squared would just be n. Square root of 64 is 8. Since the middle term is positive, I'm going to write plus 8, all of that squared. And now with this one, I always have to double check. I have to multiply the two things in here together and double it to make sure it matches this middle term. N times 8 is 8n. Double that, we get 16n, so this actually does work. So that means I have n plus 8, which is 2 right here, and n plus 8, which is a y, so y goes in spot 2. For number 5, I'm looking for factors of negative 15 that add up to 2. 1 and 15 won't work, but 3 and 5 will if we have a negative 3 and a positive 5. So then n plus 3, or n minus 3 rather, n plus 5. n minus 3, I don't see that over here, but I see n plus 5, so that means the n minus 3 must be in the other column. So we've got 4, spot number 4. Here's the n minus 3, it's an O, so O goes in spot 4. For number 6, I have a lead coefficient of 3, and there's no perfect square shortcuts I can use, so I'm going to go with the AC method. You could also just use guess and check, especially since you've got some things that you could use with these answer choices to guess here. But let me go AC method. So 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm looking for factors of 15 that add up to negative 8. And since this is our first time on this puzzle using AC method, let me just review a little bit. When you find the factors that match this AC and add up to this middle term, you actually are going to split this middle term up into two things with n that have the coefficients of the factors you just found. So, things that multiply to 15 and add up to negative 8. 1 and 15 does not work. 3 and 5 does if they're both negative. So I'm going to split this negative 8n up into negative 3n minus 5n. So I just unsimplified it basically. And the reason I did that is because if I have 4 terms, then I can try factoring this by grouping. Just to review grouping, you basically have to take a common factor out of the first 2 and the last 2 terms, and then you'll be able to do some more common factorization to get the final answer. So for my first 2 terms, we have a 3n squared and a minus 3n. I can take a 3 and an n squared out of both of those, or just an n rather, 3n out of both. That leaves me with an n for that 3n squared term, and minus 3n is going to become minus 1. For these next 2 terms, if my third term is negative, I'm always going to take out a negative. In this case, I can take a negative 5 out of each of those. That leaves me with positive n minus 1. So I notice that I have n minus 1 in both of these 2 terms. So I'm going to take an n minus 1 out now as a common factor. And then the leftovers, 3n minus 5, go in my other parentheses. So that was everything we needed to get that answer. N minus 1, I see that right there in 18. And then 3n minus 5 is an s. So S goes in spot 18, right at the end. For number 7, we've got a totally new set of answer choices. Everything's got an A in it now. They started us off kind of easy. This one we just need factors of negative 21 that add up to 4. 1 and 21 won't work. Our only other option is 3 and 7. If we have negative 3 and positive 7, that'll do the job. So we have A now, not N, A minus 3 and A plus 7. A minus 3, I don't see that, but I see A plus 7 in the left here. And then A minus 3 is over here with letter P. So 13 then is going to be P right there. For number 8, this is going to be a good candidate for the AC method. So 5 times negative 2 gives me an AC of negative 10. So then I'm looking for factors of negative 10 that add up to 9. Well, 1 and 10 works if I have negative 1 and positive 10. So I'll split this up into negative A plus 10A for that 9A term. Now using some grouping, we can take an A out of the first 2 terms. Leaves me with 5A minus 1. For the next 2, I'll take out a 2, leaving me again with 5A minus 1. It's important that we get the same thing there. So 5A minus 1 comes out as a common factor. And then we have A plus 2 left over. So 5A minus 1, A plus 2, either of those in this first column. I see A plus 2 here, so that's a good sign. And then 5A minus 1 is I. So it looks like then 7 is going to be I. For number 9, I'm going to go AC method again. It's getting some use in this next set of problems here. So 2 times 15 is 30. Factors of 30 that add up to 11. Let me see. 1 and 30, 2 and 15 doesn't work. 3 and 10 is closer, still not good. 5 and 6 works. So I'll split this 11A up into 5A plus 6A. Now using grouping, first 2 terms I can take out an A. Leaves me with 2A plus 5. For the next 2, these are both divisible by 3, leaving me with 2A plus 5. 2A plus 5 is my common factor. A plus 3 is my leftovers. And I see 2A plus 5 right here, so spot 16. And what's that getting? A plus 3 is an O, so 16 gets an O. For number 10, although this one's kind of crazy because it's the 4th power, these are both perfect squares with a minus between them. So I'm going to use my a squared minus b squared shortcut. So square root of 1 is just 1. That's not so bad. Square root of 9a to the 4th is going to be 3 a squared because we're dividing the exponent by 2. So we have 1 plus 3a squared and 1 minus 3a squared. Doesn't really matter what order these go in as long as you have them both. So here is the 1 minus 3a squared, that's 8, and 1 plus 3a squared is n, so spot 8 gets an n. For number 11, they're going easy on us here, just asking for factors of 30 that add up to negative 11. And I feel like we just did this dance with 30 and positive 11. Things that multiply to 30 and add up to negative 11, that would be negative 5 and negative 6. So that's going to be a minus 5 and a minus 6. A minus 5 is right here, so number 1 is getting, let's see, here's a minus 6, so 1 gets a b right at the beginning. For this one, we're going back to AC method, although guess and check probably would work well. 1 is not too difficult to work with, but we have an AC value of negative 10. So things that multiply to negative 10 and add up to negative 3, 1 and 10 won't work. 2 and 5 works if we have positive 2 and negative 5. So let's split this up into a plus 2a minus 5a for that negative 3a middle term. And now using grouping, my first 2, I can take out a 2a from both of those, leaving me with 5a plus 1. And for the next bunch, all I can take out is a negative 1 there, leaving me with 5a plus 1. So 5a plus 1 is my common factor, and then 2a minus 1 is the leftovers going with that. 5a plus 1 is right here, that's a 5, and then 2a minus 1 is going to be an r, so r goes in spot 5 right here. For number 13, we've got a new set of answer choices. All of these have u in them now. They're going to start us off with a tough one. This is an AC method one. 8 times 6 is giving me 48 for the AC. And now I need factors of 48 that add up to 19. So 48 is kind of thorny to deal with. We've got 1 in 48 that doesn't work. 2 times 24 doesn't work. 3 times, let me think, 16? That adds up to 19, so let's do that. We'll split this up then into 3u plus 16u. And now for my factoring by grouping, first 2 I can just take out a u, that's about it. Leaves me with 8u plus 3. For the next group, I'll take out a 2, leaving me with 8u plus 3. 8u plus 3 comes out. U plus 2 goes in. And let's see, u plus 2, I see that here, that's 15. And that's getting whatever 8 plus 3, 8u plus 3 is next to an o. So 15 is o, right there. For 14, this one looks like it's going to be a little crazy, but we have a perfect square sandwich. So I'm going to try using my a squared minus 2ab plus b squared shortcut. Square root of 25u squared is 5u. Square root of 4 is 2. And the middle term is negative, so negative 2. Everything's squared. Just to double check, if I multiply these and double it, I'm going to end up with negative 10u times 2, so negative 20u, which works out. So looking over my answers, we have 5u minus 2, that's going to be a 3, and 5u minus 2 in the other column is an f, so 3 is f. For this polynomial, I have a value over here that's not 1, and I can't factor anything out or do any perfect square shortcuts, so let me use the AC method. So we have an AC value of 3 times negative 14, that's negative 42. So then I'm looking for factors of negative 42 that add up to negative 11. Well, let me think. We got 1 in 42, that doesn't work. 2 in 21 doesn't work. 3 times 14, I think we have something that might work there. If I have positive 3, negative 14. So let me split this up into a plus 3u minus 14u. And now we'll use some grouping. First 2 terms, I can take out a 3u, leaves me with a u plus 1. And for the next 2, I can take out a negative 14, that's awfully convenient, leaves me with a u plus 1. Now I can take out u plus 1 as a common factor, with 3u minus 14 being my leftovers. And here's u plus 1, that's an m. And where's that going? 3u minus 14 is a 6, so we have an m going into spot 6 right here. For number 16, this one is actually way easier than the last one. We have an a value of 1, so we're basically just looking for factors of negative 21 that add up to negative 4. 1 and 21 doesn't work. 3 and 7 works with positive 3 and negative 7. So we'll just use u plus 3, u minus 7. I see u plus 3 right away. That's spot 10. What's going in spot 10? We have a c next to u minus 7, so c goes in 10. Well, we got a break from the tricky problems, but we're back to one of these AC method problems. So we have 6 times negative 10 for an AC value of negative 60, looking for factors of negative 60 that add up to 17. 1 and 60 is not going to work, 2 and 30 is no good, 3 and 20 works with negative 3 and positive 20. So let me break this up into a minus 3u plus 20u. Now we'll use some grouping. First two terms I can take out a 3u. That leaves me with 2u minus 1. For the next two I can take out a 10, and that leaves me again with 2u minus 1. So 2u minus 1 is our common factor. That gets its own parentheses. And then 3u plus 10 is the other factor then. So I've got 3u plus 10 right here. That's 17. And 2u minus 1 is right here. That's an L. So 17L over here. And now, last but not least, we have number 18. This is another one where we're going to have to use AC method or guess and check. No perfect square shortcuts. Can't take out any common factors. So AC value is 2 times negative 18, negative 36. Looking for factors of negative 36 that add up to 5. So 1 and 36, nope. 2 and 18 doesn't work. 3 times 12, still no good. 4 times 9 will work if I have negative 4 and positive 9. So let me break up 5u into negative 4u plus 9u. Now I'll use some grouping. First two terms, I can take out a 2u. Leaves me with a u minus 2. Next two terms, I can take out a 9. Leaves me with a u minus 2 again. So u minus 2 is our common factor, and then 2u plus 9, the leftovers factor. U minus 2, I see that right here, that's an R. And then 2u plus 9 is a 12 over here. So that means that 12 is R. Now that we've filled in all the blanks, let's parse this out and see what the answer is to the riddle of how can fishermen save gas by forming carp pools. There we go, because like a carp is a type of fish, and save gas by carpooling. You know the deal. All right, till next time, Mr. Sutton, signing off.